Welcome, Pollyanna Brown, the Biz Fairy Godmother here, and I'm with my amazing business partner, Susan Kate, who is a phenomenal business and systems strategist. And we are so excited. We just got back from the Growth Summit with Brennan Burchard, Ethan Willis, and Dean Graciosi, who were amazing. And not to mention Larry King. Holy crap, my life is made.
Top 10 experience sitting like 3 feet. 5 feet from Larry King, like learning.
Oh my gosh.
Journalists, that's huge.
Talk about storytelling mastery. But we had so many great takeaways. We met so many amazing people, and we wanted to bring this information back to you guys. So really what we're talking about today, our two big takeaways that we wanted to share with you today, are all about getting you out of self-sabotage, getting you out of your own way, and helping you make that leap forward in your business that you've been feeling, that you've been aching for, that you've been reaching and striving for, and making that real. So we're going to share those two things with you today. Sue's got one and I got one. And let me tell you, if you just do these alone, you will make significant strides forward. So Sue, I'm going to hand it over to you and you can take it away.
You want me to go first? Cool.
Yeah.
So the experience, I have two things actually. So one of the top shifting moments in my life was when Larry King looked me like straight in the eye and just said, if you're from New York, you're a step ahead, right? So that doesn't have anything to do with anybody but me, but that needs to be out there. There are some times that one sentence from somebody else can completely change your life. And that hit me like a wave. I was like, you know what? I'm definitely taking this on board. But what I learned from the Growth Summit that really just impacted me was kind of DACCC. So the D stands for decisions. Now, Growth Summit came on the back of High Performance Academy for Pollyanna and I. So we are all about high performance. As we're scaling our business to 7 figures, you kind of at some point run out of time, right? So you have to figure out, how do you perform at a higher level and make more money, and yet in less time, right? Because we're running out of time. Okay, so what really came out of Growth Summit for me was how high performers and people who make it and people who play at this level, how they act, right? How they think. And so again, DACCC, the D stands for decisions, right? They make decisions fast, and not only fast, they make decisions with only about 50 or 60% of the info, okay? And that comes from a deep ability to trust in themselves, that if the decision is not the right decision, right, or something needs to be fixed, they trust in their ability to work it out. Now, when Brendan said this to us, Brendan, we got to go to like a lunch with him, and we were maybe 3 feet from him, and this is one of those moments that he, again, looked at me, and I was like, ooh, took it on board, right? So they make decisions fast, and they trust in their ability that if it's not 100% the right decision, they trust in their ability to figure it out. The second thing, A, is for action. They take action. They do not sit around and sit in indecision, because indecision is actually a decision. Not making a decision is actually a decision. So they take action right away. So they make a decision. They take action right away. And then the C is for consistency. They are incredibly consistent. They are incredibly consistent about making decisions and taking actions, incredibly consistent about their daily habits, incredibly consistent about staying within their boundaries, right? The second C was for, decisions, actions, consistency, company, the company you keep, right? Learn from the people who are playing at the highest levels. And this hit me really hard going back to High Performance Academy, where we got to listen to this NASA genius, Michael Hackman, talk. And he was saying to make mistakes. And by making mistakes, you'll actually learn other things, right? So in my head, I was thinking about, you're right, the company you keep. Bringing ideas to men like this, bringing grand, big ideas to men and women like this, they don't say that's impossible. They don't say, oh, why do you want to do that? People like this say, oh my gosh, that's an awesome idea. When can we do that? How can I help you figure it out, right? And that is the difference in the company you keep. Think about two different people. Think about somebody who you bring them an amazing idea. Say, I want to build a 7-figure business online, right? And maybe it's an industry disruptor, something that nobody's heard of before. Well, you've got your friends like that you went to high school with, and like, why do you want to do that? That's a scam. Nobody's ever going to be able to make that happen, right? And then you've got people like Michael Hackman, who like got satellites into space, okay? And he would say, all right, well, let's figure out the 5 steps that it would take to get you there, okay? And that is the difference in the company you keep. And then the other C was coaching, and coaching community, okay? So the idea was that coaching is no longer a luxury. Coaching is a way for you to collapse the time frame and the learning curve into, let's say, 3 years of learning. You're learning from their knowledge, and collapse it into 3 weeks or even 3 months, right? Okay. And high performers are all about saving themselves time. So it was decisions, actions, company you keep, coaching, and community, right? So,
and consistency.
And consistency, there were 3 C's. I knew there were 3 C's. Spelling wasn't on that list.
That is all good.
Those were my main takeaways. So since then, Polly and I have just been about taking action, making decisions, even if we're a little bit iffy, right? We're just we're making a decision. We're not leaving the scene of a possible decision without making one. And then we're not leaving the scene of that decision without taking action. And then we're riding each other about staying consistent. And we are being really firm on the type of company that we keep and the type of coaching that we get, and about being very consistent and collapsing timeframes. It was an absolute game changer. The 3 of those men have such different personalities, but together it's a really magical formula. So definitely a life-changing event. I recommend it to everybody, but I am anxious to hear what your greatest takeaway was.
Absolutely. So mine came from Dean Graziosi. He has become like someone that I just deeply, deeply respect. And it was funny because I had a preconception going in. I only knew Brendan going into the event. And I was like, I really don't want to see these other 2 guys. Like, I really just want to see Brendan. Like, I know that's awful to say, but it was a barrier so that I could say, I don't really want to go. Right? Because we always put barriers to our biggest life-changing events, hands down across the board. Everybody does it because it's that moment of making a decision, right?
That's exactly what it is.
So I kept trying to be like, nah. And so this man changed my life in 1 sentence. Again, that power of 1 sentence, which for me was, what's keeping you from going to the next level is just a story you're telling yourself.
Oh, yes.
And I went, holla, absolutely. I mean, talking to like the story queen over here, it really hit me so hard because I went, you're right. Like,
he actually jumped when he said that.
I did.
Looking at you. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yes, it was a visceral experience for me. And I started going through all the stories in my head. What have I been telling myself? Right? How have I been taking action based on these stories that I've been telling myself? What are the stories I've been telling other people for why I can't do something? Right? So whether that's I'm telling myself a story that, I can't do a live stream today because I've got this and this and this and this to do. Well, I put this and this and this in the way of the live stream. Right? Right? That powerful.
I knew what you were going to say.
Well, and same thing with other things. I am tired, so I'm not going to reach out to potential clients, or I feel overwhelmed, so I'm going to take a day off and go over here. It's so easy to tell ourselves these stories because everyone will say you're right. Everyone will give you a pass, and it's easy to give yourself a pass. And what I learned about being a high performer is that you don't give yourself the pass, you give yourself the solution, and you move forward with that decisiveness, with that swiftness coming from Brendon Burchard. And that was so powerful because that's how you change your life and that's how you change your business. You don't change it by giving excuses and serving them up on a platter and getting a participation trophy. It would be cool if it worked that way. It would be, but it doesn't. So in a space where everything is changing and it's changing fast and you need to be ahead of the curve, not behind. It's so important to, like Sue was talking about, be decisive, take action, watch the company you keep, be consistent, and by all means necessary, get rid of the excuses and the stories that you're telling yourself that hold you back every day. I know we actually sat down, we're making lists. What are the excuses we're making? And holding ourselves accountable. And
don't say anything. I've been waving my hair.
Yes. And there are so many excuses even we've made for ourselves. But being someone who...
Yeah, it's okay. I'll just tell them the excuse that I made for not doing lives is because I have hair down to my waist. And it's, unless I spend a lot of time doing it, it is a hot mess. And so my hair has always been an excuse why I can't get on lives, because it's not combed and I don't want to spend an hour and a half combing it just to go shower again after I work out. And the excuse was like 3 miles long. Okay. And today we just kind of decided to put that excuse away, and whatever this hair ends up looking like, it ends up looking like, right? And she just basically called me out. She's like, where are you making excuses in our business? And I was like,
and it was so powerful because we did it together.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that was really awesome. So the other piece that we really realized is being a high performer isn't about sugarcoating and sweet talking each other. It's about showing up for each other and loving each other to tell each other the truth, just like we would a client.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's such a revolutionary thing, and we've just been going to town on it. And you best bet, if something isn't working or if something's, being frustrating or overwhelming, I'm going to look at, okay, what excuses am I making? So first thing I ask myself, and then where do I need to make a decision?
Yep. And
those are the
being
pieces.
a high performer also means being able to take feedback from other people on where you're going wrong. Like when we were there, we were at a restaurant, and I said to Polly, and I said to our growth specialist, Michael Tyndall, who you should definitely look up because he's helping us scale and he's amazing. But I said, okay, you guys, let me have it. Where am I going wrong? Where am I messing up? And how can I get better? Not from my eyes, because I'm in the frame, so I can't see the picture the same way, but from your eyes, like, let me have it. And funnily enough, they weren't expecting it, so they were kinder than they probably should have been. But it's one of those things of being a high performer. If you want to get better, you have got to be able to handle criticism, whether it's hard hat or constructive. You've got to be able to handle criticism so that you can get to the next level. You better believe that when I was training to show jump and when I was horseback riding, my trainers were not like, oh yeah, you did that perfectly. No, you don't have to change anything. They were like, okay, your heels were in the wrong place. And if you keep your heels out, this is going to happen. And if you don't rein the horse in over a 6-foot jump, this is what's going to happen. And they really, really hammered me. And I realized that I grew the most when people were the harshest with me. So that's another thing, is be willing to take criticism in whatever form it comes, whether it's hard hat, whether it's constructive, whether it feels good, or whether it makes you cry and you have to go cry and come back. Be willing to be criticized for growth. High performers can handle criticism gracefully and professionally.
And it's about understanding when it's true, right? There's a difference between being berated and getting criticism. They're two different things. So for those of you watching, I just don't want you to mix those two up. But criticism is all about getting better. Identifying the pieces where you are making excuses, not necessarily, this is another one that was really big. Don't work on your weaknesses, work on your strengths.
Oh, that was huge. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. And this is a case of criticism is not about working on your weaknesses and trying to make those better, because the fact is your strengths are where you play. But criticism is about seeing where the excuses are being made and where they're crumbling your world and keeping you from what you want. Excuses, I want you to think of them like bricks. They build a wall to what you want. So if you want to run forward into success, you have to tear that wall down because you're the one that put it there. And that's okay. We all do it. But in order to have the success that you want in your business and in your life, It requires you to look at that wall, take responsibility for that wall, and tear that shit down and run forward. And that's really what I took away. That was really powerful.
Yeah. So we have pages and pages of notes. We'll bring you a part 2 soon. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. We do check back on all of our lives, even if you haven't been here live. Go ahead and tag us. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Nope. I think that's it. We would absolutely love to see you guys on the next one. So definitely click the live notifications or subscribe, and we will talk to y'all soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.